Welcome to the High at 9 News Hour, where you will hear from cannabis industry experts and professionals from around the country talk about important topics while shining light on global issues and discussing cannabis as it relates to politics, regulation and reform, data and technology, science, research and medicine, family and parenting, art, celebrities and entertainment, fitness, sports, mental health and wellness, and plant-based medicines and entheogenics. Together, we are building a stronger community, fighting the stigma and creating change. With your hosts, Jason Beck and Rico Lamitte, joined by special industry expert correspondents from around the country, and daily antics brought to you by Cannabis. Coming to you live every Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific Time and high noon on the East Coast. And thank you all for getting high at 9 with us. Wednesday, June 21st. Today is World Humanist Day. National Peaches and Cream Day for everybody out there in Alabama. It's also, today is the first day of summer. Today is the day the summer begins. It's also National Day of the Gong. World Giraffe Day for all those people smoking that giraffe, you know what I mean? It's also Go Skateboarding Day. National Arizona Day, Anne Frank and Samantha Smith Day, National Smoothie Day, and National Selfie Day, as well as the International Day of Yoga and National Seashell Day, World Hydrography Day, and World Peace Prayer Day, on top of National Daylight Appreciation Day, because today is, that's right, it's the first day of summer. Thank you all for joining us and getting high at 9 with us. It's also high noon on the East Coast. And please remember to like, share, and subscribe to us on all social media platforms. Use that fancy little QR code right there in the top right corner of your screen to see where we live on the internet. We're live every Monday through Friday on YouTube and audio only. Today, we are on Twitter Spaces. And remember, if you want to participate in the show on Twitter Spaces, you can come up on stage and make a brief comment on the story most recently presented. But without further ado, we're going to kick it off with the dope dad himself. That's right, it's Rico Lamitte, the Quasimodo caretaker and the father to little baby Zozo. And today, he can see almost better than everybody. That's right, it's the dope dad himself, Rico Lamitte.
I don't know if y'all can hear the applause or not. We didn't test that. But thank you, Jason. And you want to know how to solve societal issues in America, no matter how complex they are? Throw more money at them. It's the American way. This is exactly how California's Department of Cannabis Control plans on solving the growing problem of illicit operators popping up and serving the needy in its stagnant number of weed desert municipalities, to the tune of $4.1 million. That's right, California localities supporting cannabis dispensaries are set to receive a cash injection of $4.1 million in funding. The aim is to sway the nearly 2/3 of California cities and counties with no current regulated cannabis retailers. Consumer access to regulated tested cannabis and cannabis products, it's limited. The DCC says it's working to curb a thriving trap market that still exists despite legalization in the state, with the official launch of its $20 million local jurisdiction retail access grant program that passed this February. Golden State localities without enough dispensaries to meet consumer demand are being prioritized for funding, as they're seen as the major hotspots for illegal operators and unregulated products. The ones with no intent to open up will not be eligible for the program. The program also aims to provide consumers with reliable access to regulated and tested cannabis and establish enough retail locations to meet California's massive existing consumer demand. Per the article, phase 1 of the program, which is now commenced, is awarding $4.1 million of that $20 million across 18 jurisdictions. $870,000 will go to 14 localities issuing licenses to equity applicants within their retail licensing programs. Permitted use for the funds are for supporting social equity applicants, licensees, environmental reviews, permitting expenses, and personnel costs. Rasha Salama, acting director of this DCC, called the program an important step towards establishing legal pathways for legacy and social equity operators. I really don't know what to say about this one. Doing the math here was as a 870,000 divided by 14 localities. Hey, each one of those gets $62,000. I guess it's better late than never, but is that money at this point enough to put a Band-Aid on the knife wounds that are the failing California industry and its promise to provide generational wealth to Black and brown operators whose communities have been negatively affected by the illegal, racist, and still very much alive war on drugs? I don't know. Interested in hearing what you guys have to say about it. I'm Rico Lamitte, the dopest dad on the street. Glad to be back on High at 9 News.
It's throwing not enough money at a huge problem, Rico. The companies that I've helped set up, we're looking high 6 to low 7 figures to get them up and operational from start to actually getting your first customer in or your first round of product off your property. And so my CEQA studies up in these counties where they require an individual environmental impact report, my costs are $75,000 to $100,000 just for the environmental reports. So it's appreciated that money's out there, but what strings are attached, if any? And then what happens when that money runs out and these people are left there holding their wang, if you will, waiting? They can't pay their bills. And when you're looking at years to get up and licensed, it should be appreciated, but I don't know what the plan is to actually fix the problem, because this doesn't actually fix the problem.
Hold on, is this money
holding their wangs in the wind?
That's right.
I think that this. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Gretchen.
I was just going to say, Rico, isn't this money only going to programming? It's not actually going to the operators, is it?
Yeah, that's what I was confused about too.
It's only going to programs to for the city of Sacramento to say, here's a clinic on how to pay your taxes. It's not really helping these people, is it?
Yeah, I'm with you, Gretchen.
62,000 isn't going to help you do shit. Is that going to
my point is that it's not going to the operators, so I don't think it's going to do a damn thing. It's going to the municipalities.
Yeah, it's going to bureaucrats.
Yeah, initially the way I've seen it allocated, and Nicole, you may have different experience with this, but the way I've seen it allocated is initially there's a small tranche of money that's allocated to the city, and the city is supposed to put together some sort of cohort or programming to help the individuals get acclimated to what's to come. And then after that, there's each city does it differently. Sacramento did a lottery process and an application process. And so your application's got a score. And then if you got a certain score, you got entered into a lottery, right? For the first round of funding allocation, the second round was a merit stipend that came out.
Yeah. Every state, every city, every county does it differently. Absolutely. What we're finding more of is that once they have a social equity program and maybe let's say it fails, let's say, it's not successful, then the county comes back or the city comes back. And then they're like, okay, how can we create programs that can help these businesses? And so, for example, in Nevada, CEIC, which is a local nonprofit, they created the Cannabis Business School. And that was done we didn't have social equity licenses initially in Nevada here. The first social equity round we've ever had was with consumption lounges. And so this Cannabis Business School was given the funds by the county, by Clark County, not by the city, not by the state, but by Clark County. And that was to help people get ready for what was to come, which was the consumption lounge license application process and actually having social equity applicants apply. Now, funding, direct funding, we haven't gotten there yet in Nevada. But I know there are some other states and counties that are making sure that funds that are coming in from cannabis sales are actually going to some sort of fund that will help social equity. I think in Illinois, they're doing something similar to this.
I don't know. I just feel like this is all just going to be one big waste of tranche of money.
Pretty much all of this is because, I think it was Dale that said, the amount of funding that it requires to just get up and running when you are a license holder is astronomical. And depending upon the type of business model that you're trying to go into, you're going to spend the majority of your life just trying to maintain and save that license instead of even like building your brand or getting out there and doing the cool shit you wanted to do when you said you wanted to start a cannabis company. You're just going to be stuck in license mode all the time. And for
the social equity applicants right here in Nevada that are getting consumption lounges that have already been awarded consumption lounge licenses, they are not moving to the next step of getting a conditional license like some of the dispensaries are, the retail attached consumption lounges are, because of capital. And so I'll talk about it a little bit in my story. What happened in the CCB meeting yesterday is going to help them reduce some of those costs by the new regulations that were applied to air quality, but still finding the right location, making sure that every other regulation is adhered to. It's challenging, especially for the independent operators that are not retail attached.
Well, what I found with the companies I represent that have local preference, we call them social equity. I mean, there's some sort of a preference given for local or criminal activity, things like that, is that money in this industry is high risk. Okay, so it comes with layers of strings attached, and a lot of it's off the books. And that's where I kind of get pissed off when I get into these and look at the social equity person or local equity, whatever person, has got to have 51% of a business. So they do. They give them 51% of the business to touch the plant, but all the money gets made by another business. So they don't get shit from that. Okay? And there's also preferred stock buybacks and things like that will kick these social equity people out. As soon as they get to the point where they can, they're cut loose. They might get some severance money. I call it the dimes and the dollars. They get dimes along the way. And for people that aren't used to making a lot of money, getting $10,000 a month, it's like, oh shit, man, I'm in heaven. But the people that are doing that are going to make millions, and you're not going to get shit out of that. Yep. And that still is a disparity that I'm finding, and I don't know what to do to fix it. I really don't.
I don't think there's an answer.
There is not an answer.
I mean, I'm still a fan of the idea that social equity qualified applicants shouldn't have to pay certain amounts of taxes for a certain number of amount of time, and I'm a huge fan of that.
Mm-hmm. How about a plot twist? How about you just take all this money, take the $20 million and give it to the trap? How awesome can the trap be?
Or that.
Trap's gonna get it anyway.
Trap's gonna get it anyway.
Right.
You're kicking the industry's
have a whole
ass
lot less
every chance.
A whole lot less heartbreak across the board for everybody.
I mean, but the trap will survive.
That's where everybody's going back to anyway.
Mm-hmm. That's right. All things end up at the trap.
That's why they call it a trap. Gonna keep it moving here. We got a commercial.
No.
How we doing
We're gonna keep it rolling.
Please let it be smoky vanilla.
All right.
All right. It's gonna be at least another week till we have a smoky vanilla commercial.
All right. He is the cannabis industry's longest continuously operating retailer, known to many for smoking the best weed in the world, tabletop stretch sessions with smoky vanilla, and of course supplying Donald Trump with only the best Fox News talking points for Brett Baer interview.
Oh boy.
Y'all know who it is. Coming to the stage, Jason Beck.
You know, I do have the best talking points in town, Rico. That is very, very true. Mm-hmm. That's right. I see the side, Gretchen. It's okay. Don't worry. We all know. We all know. Exactly. Oh man, I got a big story for you guys. Get ready for this. Something everyone already knew about, but you know what? Today it's a news story because a big California marijuana distributor, Herbal, has collapsed. And brands are left unpaid, sources say. Herbal, a major licensed California marijuana distribution company, is in receivership after falling behind on a key loan, a source close to the situation confirmed to MJ Biz Daily on Tuesday. The collapse of Herbal, which reportedly handled $700 million worth of product sales in 2022, is the most prominent failure of a cannabis company in the state to date, and has major implications across the industry. Potentially tens of millions of dollars in unpaid invoices are due to brands across the state, which now fear that revenue, including for product already sold, is lost forever. The state might also be due millions in unpaid taxes. Herbal's financial troubles underscore the upheaval within California's marijuana industry as brands struggle to collect unpaid invoices. The terms of Herbal's receivership mean that investors and other claimants due money from Herbal might be paid before brands, according to people familiar with the situation. Mike Boudry, Herbal's co-founder and CEO, did not respond to a voicemail or a text message from MJ Biz Daily seeking comment. Well, of course he didn't. The company's main lender is East West Bank, which also last week concealed a line of credit it had extended the company, the source confirmed. East West Bank did not respond to a telephone message and an email seeking comment. The company's other investors include Measure 8 Ventures, Salvio Capital, Silverleaf Venture Partners, and which Market Watch reported last year. As of September 2022, Herbal employed more than 200, including salespeople and delivery drivers, and worked with 1,000+ licensed retailers, according to Market Watch. Though the company has not publicly confirmed the situation, Herbal's collapse is common knowledge throughout the cannabis industry. On LinkedIn, former Herbal employees reported last week that they were seeking jobs. That has since been followed by a near universal acknowledgement among industry insiders on Tuesday that the company was finished and is a growing concern. In a quote, "The recent receivership of Herbal, one of California's largest cannabis distributors, should be a wake-up call to policymakers that all this is not well, and immediate action is called for to avert a crisis that has already started," Wesley Hine, president of the Cannabis Distribution Association, a trade group representing distributors, told MJ Biz Daily. And Herbal remains listed as a member of the group currently. And in another quote, "Herbal was well-run, well-financed, and stocked with well-known brands," Hine added. "However, even with those advantages, it was unable to overcome the structural challenges of operating in California and now finds itself in receivership." Herbal's downfall is a stark reminder that if a state and local policymakers don't immediately address regulations, taxes, and the illicit market, we are going to see the continued erosion of a vibrant industry. I'm not sure if it was ever vibrant like that, but whatever. California's mandatory distributor model requires brands to sell products through licensed distributors. Distributors collect payment from retailers after product is sold and then remit both excise taxes due to the state as well as payment for the original product delivery to the brand. And brands started reporting unpaid or partially paid invoices with the company this spring, but the situation appears to have come to a head within the past few weeks. The company has reportedly laid off nearly all of its workforce, leaving behind only a skeleton crew that's attempting to collect payment from California retailers, who are in turn fleeting calls from brands that are trying to collect payment that's owed to them through Herbal. In a quote, "We're trying to collect on accounts receivable owed by Herbal," Syncia Labs CEO Ben Mitchell told MJ Biz Daily on Tuesday in a quote. "But the fact is, unfortunately, we're not going to get paid through Herbal." Mitchell, who co-founded the social equity brand with his wife, Carolina Vasquez. Mitchell, a recognized cannabis product developer, did not share how much the brand is owed, but he said Herbal began falling behind on paying brands about 6 weeks ago. That company previously sent out checks a few weeks ago. In that time, Mitchell added, efforts to find out what was going on at Herbal did not yield answers, and Herbal's downfall is the latest domino to fall after tax and regulatory burdens hit licensed cultivators and retailers who have publicly called for major tax reform for years. In a quote, now it's cascaded all the way down the brands," Mitchell said. "I don't really know how anyone is going to get out of here either," they say. Is this the downward turn for the cannabis industry in California with the demise of Herbal and being in receivership? And will Herbal be able to get their business back out of receivership? Only time will tell. Well, this is Jason Beck reporting for the High at 9 News. What do y'all have to say about this?
Man.
You know, it's the scariest time in an industry when the biggest company that handles the majority of the fleet of products that go throughout the state is no longer operating. And stuff like this happens, and it drastically affects brands. Like, the brands are going to be the biggest losers in all of this, and that really sucks.
I guess it's a good thing it's not Fleet Week this week, then, huh, Manndie?
I want to know. So 2 things here. Is this going to be the rise? Is this going to be the rise of direct to consumer? People just like wanting to sidestep a lot of these distributors. And number 2, like, how the fuck does California not have a too big to fail companies? If Trulieve and Curaleaf, can escape on the East Coast being too big to fail and get bailed out of their shit, like why? How is this not stopped?
They obviously
the top of the food chain.
They didn't align themselves with the correct politicians in order to be in that space.
And Rico, I don't agree with your assessment anywhere that cannabis is too big to fail. Nobody cares about cannabis. Nobody.
Curaleaf in
no
New Jersey?
Lawmaker, no bank, no regulator.
New Jersey?
No, they don't care.
Curaleaf in OSHA?
Don't care. Don't care.
Out of Massachusetts?
Don't care. Don't care. They don't care. If they cared about this industry being successful, then they would do something about the tax rates. If they cared about this industry getting up and running, they would deschedule. If they cared about this industry at all, they would give us banking.
No, hold on.
I'm talking about on any level.
No. Trulieve and Curaleaf have been proven on state levels that they are too big to fail. They were given.
How have they been proven that whatsoever? Just because New Jersey fixed their shit, you think that means they're too big to fail? Are you talking about them giving back their license? Is that what you're talking about?
They weren't compliant at all. And then literally 2 days later, they were given back access to operate. They didn't rectify shit.
That was
2 days later. They were given carte blanche to operate again. And then Trulieve, the shit that they did for Trulieve, all the shit that went down in Massachusetts.
Let me speak.
No, hold on.
Let me finish my thought. I was speaking 1,000 times before you started. My point is that this is not the housing industry. This is not the banking industry. Cannabis, in no one's eyes, is too big to fail. They would much rather wait. They would much rather let it go down in flames so they can step in, take it over, let pharma, let the big boys come in and actually run this shit for real. They have no problem letting all these operators go down in flames. No problem.
You're talking about on the federal level. I'm talking about on the state level.
I'm talking on every level. Every level.
No, it was Trulieve and Curaleaf were proven to be too big to fail.
Are you kidding me? How many people does tobacco kill a year? How many people does alcohol kill a year? They don't give a fuck. What are you talking about?
Damn.
We just proved with Trulieve and the death in the Holyoke.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going on mute because I have no more to say.
Nobody said shit.
Just right.
Yeah, you're going on mute because you know I'm fucking right. Like the shit that went down in Trulieve, the whole town mum. Why? Because all those jobs were at stake. And what does Trulieve do? They get the hell out of there because they're not making money anymore. And they got a $35,000 fine for a death of somebody, the first death in the cannabis industry to be muted. They got $35,000 reduced to a $9,000 fine, and then they just bounced. Period. Left the whole state, left 30,000 plus jobs just gone. And then Curaleaf in New Jersey wasn't doing anything right on the compliance end. And they were coming out swinging saying, oh, yeah, we're going to do this. We're going to do that. Like Curaleaf ain't going to operate. And then, oh, all these jobs are going to be sacrificed because of that. What happens? 2 days later, they get, oh, well, it's okay. It's okay, Curaleaf. Just keep on coming with those jobs and them dollars for us. Oh, that's what too big to fail is.
I love the voice.
On a federal level, like of course there's gonna be no too big to fail on a federal level because it's not federally legal. What's that, Nicole?
I'm talking on any level, Rico. Any level, Rico. They do not care about one dead cannabis worker.
No, the other thing that I thought was interesting in this article is it actually quoted the old tax regulations, I believe. It talked about how Herbal had excise tax that it still needed to remit potentially. That's on the retailer now. So how long has that gone unpaid?
Mm-hmm.
Too long.
Well,
that's part of the problem.
Rules changed in January, didn't they?
I can tell you what. In this receivership, the state is going to be the first person to collect any money that is owed from them in taxes from Herbal. The state is going to collect first, sure. Then it'll be the shareholders, and then it'll be the vendors if there's anything left over.
I'll tell you what, the business to be in right now, guys, is cannabis receivership.
There
That's the
you go.
business to go on into. Ain't plant touching.
Yep. And
You get to control the plant touching
Yes.
business.
and Jason Beck Consulting actually specializes in receivership, and so if you need advice, just come and let me know.
Jason, real quick on this one, they can't go bankrupt, right?
They can't.
So it's just like
so basically
it's
what's
just
going
like
to happen
everything's for sale.
is herbal will end up selling for pennies on the dollar.
Hey, everybody! You need some cargo vans. You need some some tires.
Hey.
Go strip their vehicles.
This
right
is
now.
further proof that like the distribution license requirement in the state of California in our model, it makes no sense.
I agree
There's
with
more
that.
distribution license in California than any other license type. All the brands have had to get them and pay lots of money and build out an unnecessary piece of their facility just to store their own shit. That's wrong. We also shouldn't be having to like pay a third party to move our stuff around the state at these astronomical rates. I mean, to have a sample delivered costs a minimum of $50. The sample is $6. Come on, where is the just in that? Like that's just
It's Joe Biden's America and these crazy high gas prices, Mandy. But we're going to keep it moving on that one. We're going to roll right into our favorite little redheaded conservative that loves to tell pod loving libs all about themselves. Oh, yeah, while she's parading her dogs in fancy costumes up and down Capitol Hill. That's right. It's the founder of Panoptic Strategies, our very own Little Washington insider, Gretchen Gailey.
And the bangs are on fleek today. I like that.
Jason Beck, when you decide to stop addressing me as little, I will do a story. Move on to the next person.
whoa.
Put that in your pipe and smoke it, Jason Beck, Mr. Talking Points Memo.
Well, coming up next, I guess, is the attorney that loves to tell everyone all about this stuff. Did some Fed time for a cannabis crime and is now sitting in his rocking chair with his magic guitar. That's right, it is Mr. Dale Schafer.
Good morning, everybody. I got 5 kids, and sometimes I feel like I'm at a Thanksgiving dinner here. Anyway, be that as it may, my story this morning comes out of Law 360, and the headline is Michigan Pot Seller Banned from State Industry After Violations. So I pulled what I could on this, and what I gleaned from all of this is that a company called Clean Herbal Solutions, DBA Stash Detroit, and a guy named Mario Seaman had a company running, and somebody rattled them out for having employees up in the back room smoking some weed, and they didn't have cameras up there. At least that was the pretext. It sounds like an HR problem to me. I'm not sure how you lose your license over that, but that was the complaint. You got some employees who found some roaches on the floor. Bad boy, bad boy. I think the bigger problem was there was some sort of a land problem right next to the building, so the building they were in had to be condemned. And they were seen taking bags of product out of the back door to an unapproved facility. Now, California has this, and I've been part of this. We had some fires and some riots up here. We're trying to get people shit moved out of their distribution facility. We're finding places, letting the DCC know where they're going, blah, 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 blah. Well, it seems like they did something like that. They then got approval to bring it to a licensed facility. But when they ran the numbers didn't add up. And I think that if they got in trouble for anything, it was that it seems like shit that went out the back door didn't all come back in the front door when they were supposed to. So that seems to be a problem. But one of the bigger problems that I see here is these folks, this company, which is an LLC, I believe. Yeah, it's an LLC. It's a person, but it's not a real person. But this guy, Mario Seaman, he's banned. They're all banned for life from getting a license in Michigan. Well, okay. Mario could pick up and go someplace else. And I've had some problems with clients of mine where we try to do due diligence on people, and you get in bed with these folks and you find out, well, shit, they were banned in some other state, and there's no way to find out about that because they don't share all this information. And as an LLC, whoever's part of this LLC can probably go apply again. I don't read and hear that the members of the LLC are banned for life. And so what I see here is a sponge fight over some stupid shit that costs somebody the right to apply for a license. But then once you say that, how do you really stop them from going right next door that's got a weed industry and going in there and do the same, scandalous shit? So I don't know. I think this may be a bit of overkill, but there's obviously some things in here that, if you read between the lines, there's a lot more going on here than just somebody smoking some weed in the back room without a camera on. So that's the story for the day. I don't know what you guys think about nonsense like this, but let's throw it back to the crowd.
So these guys lost their license for smoking weed in the back of their facility, not on camera.
Well, that's one of the complaints that was made that was used to resolve the case.
That is probably the dumbest reason to lose a license, and regulators should be ashamed of themselves that they're rejecting people's licenses for just the fact of consuming cannabis. It's ridiculous. They're adults. They should be able to consume on their property. This should not even be a requirement in any of these states, in any of these legislations, that you cannot consume cannabis on the site. It's the most dumbest rule ever.
Well, but we have it here in California on the permitted premise. You're not supposed to be smoking weed on the premise.
It's still stupid.
Does it stop anybody?
It's still stupid, Dale.
No, and also, interestingly enough, I mean, you're not supposed to, but I've actually had, I won't name anybody's names because I don't want anyone to get into trouble, but had a very high-ranking regulator in our industry be at my facility, and I've asked these kinds of questions, and they said that in an R&D purpose, you can trial product because they're saying that you actually can't get in trouble for doing R&D.
That's your story, and you're sticking to it. It was R&D.
Yeah,
it is. Every time. Mm-hmm. Today it might be different. It might affect you differently today.
I mean, you gonna fire a chef for not being able to, if he tries to taste his own cooking?
Exactly.
Well, and a bourbon taster. How about them? I want a job like that. I want to taste bourbon out of the barrel.
How are you supposed
there
to?
There is somebody whose job is to do that.
How are you gonna be able to knowledgeably tell these patients or consumers like what to expect from these products?
And even from a retail side, I can't tell you how many times that someone will come in and be like, my vape pen doesn't work, and want to exchange it, right? And then we have to be able to prove that it actually doesn't work. So what does that person have to do? That person has to leave, basically clock out, walk outside around the corner, go and try to see if this vape pen works, while the customer's just sitting there waiting at the table like, what the fuck is going on? It's the most dumbest
go 500 feet away.
Planet.
No,
it's ridiculous.
It sounds pretty lame.
Well, I think they really got spanked for the numbers didn't add up for all the product that kind of sort of walked out the back door in black plastic bags. Mm-hmm. So if I'm a betting man, that's where they really got their big problem.
It is Michigan though, and I can see the pendulum swinging in the other way. They're going to really try to tighten up absolutely everything when it comes to any kind of corruption or any kind of compliance issues, because they've been racking up a lot out there, and they've been pretty lax with stuff. And Gretchen Whitmer out there is her team's on the hot seat right now.
Yeah,
you can't do it. I don't care how many people you try to get to watch this industry. You're not going to be able to police this shit. So figure out where you're going to focus your attention, and it's not on somebody smoking a joint around the fucking corner. Come on, man.
Yeah, there's so many bigger problems in the world than that.
Yeah, this is a gross overreach of government control, in my opinion. But nonetheless,
shocking.
We got any commercials, Adam? All right, we're going to go to a commercial. We're going to be right back.
How's it going, guys? Saman Razani coming to you from Green Street here with Jason Beck, smoking on the best weed in the world. Did you know that we have an audio-only version of our podcast available on Apple, Google, Amazon, iHeartRadio, and Spotify? Tune in now and check it out.
Oh, yeah. Stop whatever you're doing. Make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. And make sure you check out our website, www.highat9news.com. Make sure you sign up for our newsletter. You will then receive a email in your inbox to confirm your subscription. You must click on that in order to be properly confirmed. And with that, we have one more commercial for you. The Control Tower from Highly Educated has perfected the dab. Utilizing the concept of thin film evaporation, you can waste none of it and taste all of it. The micro texture of the SE pillar increases nucleation at elevated temperatures. And with the tower propelling at 2,600 RPMs, it's certainly the most efficient dab experience to date. The Control Tower from Highly Educated.
Coming up next, she is the founder of Panoptic Strategies and High at 9 News' very own Washington insider, known for mixing things up on K3 by day and mixing things up in the kitchen at night. Up next, it is Big Gretchen Gailey.
Thank you, Rico Lamitte, for that kind and respectful introduction. It is appreciated by all of the women in our listening audience. Thank you. My headline comes from Marijuana Moment. Congressional committee calls for increased enforcement against non-compliant CBD products. A key House committee is calling on the FDA to continue and increase enforcement against CBD companies that make unsanctioned claims about the benefits of cannabidiol as the agency works with Congress to develop a regulatory pathway for the product. The panel separately noted that the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs efforts to improve education around home loan benefit protections for military veterans who work in state legal marijuana markets. Those issues are addressed in a new report attached to annual spending legislation approved by the House Appropriations Committee last week. The bill itself, to fund the U.S. Department of Agriculture, meanwhile, again codifies protections for state hemp programs. As the 2024 fiscal year appropriation season gets underway, there are some of the first examples of how lawmakers are approaching cannabis policy through that process under Republican control of the House this Congress. The CBD language in this spending bill report for the USDA and FDA says that appropriators are concerned about the proliferation of foods and dietary supplements marketed in violation of the FDA Cosmetic Act, including products containing derivatives of the cannabis plant. Non-compliant CBD products pose potential health and safety risks to consumers through misleading, unsubstantiated, and false claims that cannabis and cannabis derivatives can treat serious and life-threatening diseases and conditions, including COVID-19. The committee recognizes that FDA intends to work with Congress on creating a regulatory framework that could permit one compound in cannabis, cannabidiol, in consumer products. It continues. FDA indicated that such a framework could safeguard consumers by providing risk management tools to the agency to manage CBD risks, including labeling requirements, prevention of contaminants, content limits, and other public health protections, such as minimum purchase age to mitigate the risk of ingestion by children. FDA announced earlier this year that following an extensive review, it determined that it would not be able to independently develop regulations allowing for the marketing of CBD products as food items or dietary supplements. The agency has faced pressure and criticism over the inaction, but it insisted that Congress must step in to facilitate that rulemaking. Appropriators went on to say that they recognize the FDA's use of existing authorities to undertake cannabis-related efforts, including research, requests for data, consumer education, issuance of guidance, and policy around cannabis-based drug product development and enforcement against wrongdoers. They want the agency to continue and increase the efforts, given the prevalence of non-compliant CBD products in the marketplace. The committee also expects the FDA to take enforcement action against the manufacturers of any cannabis products marketed with unlawful therapeutic claims to preserve the integrity of the drug development and approval process, which ensures that products, including cannabis-containing products, marketed as drugs have undergone a rigorous scientific evaluation to assure that they are safe, pure, potent, and effective for the diseases and conditions they claim to treat. It is also imperative that the FDA continue to exercise its existing authorities to preserve incentives to invest in robust clinical study of cannabis so its therapeutic value can be better understood. So I think this is just a prime example of why cannabis is not too big to fail. They don't give you a pathway to succeed and still lock you up. This is Gretchen for High at 9 News.
I mean, there
Ooh, I like that little shot fired at Rico over there.
There is so many.
I try.
like the subliminals.
There's so many unregulated products. I mean, they're gonna have so much time to do all this. They're probably gonna have to hire a bunch of those IRS agents that they hire just to fill this department for all this illicit product that they're gonna be after.
There are regulations out there. They're just for nutritional supplements, and I know that Manndie understands this. When you're having a marketing meeting and some little shit wants to go out and market something as curing cancer and jock itch and toenail fungus, at what point do you say, nah, you can't be saying shit like that about these products? And that is at the base of this. Since the 1906 Pure Food and Drug Act, they have taken drugs, and separated them from nutritional supplements, and nobody knows what the hell category these fit into now, so they default to a nutritional supplement. And the claims that are being made about what cannabis and its molecules will do, sometimes you just shake your head and walk away. There's a fool born every goddamn day, and they'll buy all kinds of shit.
Yep.
So
just
true.
like those THC dick pills Ric Flair selling down in Florida.
Yeah.
Well,
they'll work with a puffer and a couple $100. Yeah, you'll get an erection. Yeah, fine, great.
Dale, I don't know about the dick pills, but I tell clients all the time that no, they can't say things. And if they want to, I'm not the girl to market for them. And we just have to have those types of standards. And it's not because I'm a pain in the ass. I'm also keeping them out of trouble, which is also part of my job as their consultant and PR person. So if they don't want to accept that advice, then they need to find other people to work with them.
Well, the marketers are reluctant to have me in the meetings because I'm pretty blunt. You know, if you can't prove that something is true by research, and not research done by some YouTube idiot in fucking desert, but by legitimate research, then you can't say it as a nutritional supplement. And if you try to say it's a drug, you really have to jump through the hoops. And the DEA refused to let anybody do the research. So you're in this vicious cycle where there's not a lot you can say that's actually proven. Yeah, does smoking weed take away nausea? Sure it does. I think you can say stuff like that. Can you say it about CBD? Does it cure cancer? How about jock itch and toenail fungus? Okay. Does it really do that kind of stuff? You can't prove it, so you can't say it. And those regulations will have your products recalled.
Good
Very
point.
True.
Now, whenever I train our brand ambassadors and send them out into the fields, we always tell them that you can never make any kind of medical claims, but you can tell your own personal journey, your own personal experience. And just
Nobody can take that away from you.
That's the N of one experience. Yeah, you can say that.
Yeah. What happens when you say like, yo, this weed don't even get me high?
And
I've
that's
been
your
saying
own
that a lot
personal
lately.
experience.
Oh man, all the boofiness up there.
The booth is loose.
The booth is loose. Oh man, coming up.
We're
next.
not hearing her.
Who's
Hearing
talking,
me?
Dale?
No, you, but I don't know. Is it no, we didn't hear you.
Me?
You were talking, girl. I saw your mouth
Nicole?
move. So yeah, Nicole.
Nicole, you're
Nicole's
on mute.
on mute.
Nicole, you're on mute.
Yeah, you muted.
You're on mute, Nicole.
And when
There we go.
Oop. Symbols up. Oh, there we go. You're as bad as me, girl.
I'm still not hearing
I
her.
sympathize with you.
out there, so
Oh,
There you go.
she's having a connection issue. We're gonna keep it moving. We're gonna roll right on into Manndie Tingler. She's the mom, the edibles judge for the Emerald Cup, and a cannabis executive that loves to show the world how being a mom and a executive lifestyle all can go hand in hand. That's right. It's Carmen Sacramento, Miss Manndie Tingler.
Thank you. You guys, today we are here to talk about Colombia. Our headline reads, Colombia Senate votes down recreational marijuana bill. This one's a sad one, in my opinion. Colombia's Senate voted down a measure to approve the sale of recreational cannabis to adults late on Tuesday. Although supporters, including the government leftist President Gustavo Petro, said they would continue to pursue legalization. South American country already allows some cannabis-derived products such as oils and creams to be made and sold for medicinal uses, while legislation passed in the 1980s and 1990s allows consumption and cultivation of up to 20 plants. But sales of the drug for recreational purposes are illegal, and opponents of legalization celebrated the bill's defeat as ensuring the protection of the children and families in Colombia. Uruguay, Canada, and some states in the US allow the sale of recreational marijuana. Despite the legality of medicinal cannabis, investors have long complained about what they say is Colombia's torturous export approval process. The bill would have restricted the use and sale of cannabis and its derived products in schools and universities and placed limits on public consumption. Backers, including Interior Minister Luis Fernando Velasco, said recreational marijuana continued illegality and only benefits criminals. From the government, we will insist on this issue, he said in quotes, and shared this by the shared by the Senate on Twitter. Liberal Party representatives Juan Carlos Lozada had said the proposed law would save lives, protecting consumers from interactions with criminals. We didn't know we'd get so far. We have majorities. We lacked 7 votes. He tweeted after the bill was voted down. The final vote was 54 votes in favor which needed 54 votes in favor and only 147. Meanwhile, an ambitious health reform, which caused the breakdown of Petro's once broad congressional coalition, will carry over to the new legislative session in July on the back of a May approval by a committee in the lower house. A pension reform proposal also won committee approval. And we don't really care about that because it has nothing to do with weed. You guys, this is really sad for Colombia. Think about this. Colombia is I think the world's biggest exporter on flowers, is it not? And the biggest cannabis farm in the world is operable there right now. And they can only export right now. Can you imagine if we had this situation going on? This is Manndie from High at 9. What do you think?
Colombia will still have plenty of weed.
Oh, there's tons of weed going around.
All of the routes. Yep. They'll have all the trade routes to get it out wherever they need to get it.
Mm-hmm. Only export at this time, though, as far as sales are concerned.
Gretchen, you've been a big proponent of Colombian infrastructure. What do you think is going on down there?
Muted.
She's on mute. I wonder what would happen if they tried doing this with cocaine in Colombia.
People would get shot.
They tried to do it with cocaine, and the DEA came in and said, "Hey, I want to do some cocaine too."
I wonder what would happen if they tried to pass like adult use cocaine consumption law.
People get lead poisonings. What happens?
Mm-hmm.
Pluma or plata, right?
Oh boy.
Gretchen,
we'll see. I think that Colombia is focused on their medical market. I think they are concerned about the stigma of cocaine and are not trying to perpetuate that. And that is the concern behind not putting forward adult use.
Yeah.
Yeah, like coke and weed are the same things, right? Yeah.
I'm not saying they are. I'm just saying they would rather be known for the medical benefits of the plant than for people getting high.
Call it clinicaine.
They're trying to have a PR change. They're trying to adjust the way that we look at Colombia.
Isn't that crazy that the U.S. is trying to change the PR? and not let it be a
Medical
state.
seems to
They need
sell
technology
everywhere.
strategies down there, Gretchen.
They need it. They do need some effort.
Yeah.
I have worked with Colombian companies, and I think their market is primed to be the best market in the world. I really do. They are proving how good they are at cultivating. They know how to grow flowers. Cannabis is a flower. They are taking that
Genetics
expertise
is an
just in
issue
that.
there, though, isn't it? I think
The what
so.
is?
Having a variety of genetics. There's been a pretty big issue there.
I'm a firm believer that genetics should be grown where they flourish the most. So I don't know about which ones should be specific to Colombia or not. But the cultivation sites that I've been on in Colombia are fairly impressive, much more impressive than the ones I've ever seen in the U.S.
You've been to Clever Leaves?
I have.
I'm trying to go to Colombia, man. But y'all, I heard they got some good stuff down there.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's coke before they mix it with fentanyl, Rico. So you could probably, put a little bump on there.
But it's the weed.
Oh, damn.
There you go. There's a twist. Maybe Colombia is going to be the only place you can get weed without fentanyl too.
There you go.
They use I'm surprised Colombia hasn't started exporting coca leaves rolled as blunts.
Oh my goodness.
Well,
Just saying.
they
like a bit
export them
much.
to Coca-Cola.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm
Right.
saying, Dale. They do export that cocaine straight to Coca-Cola. That
Ooh,
is so
plot
true.
twist. Plot
So,
twist.
so
Is Coca-Cola going to be the
true.
only one in America allowed to still produce?
Maybe
for
they're
the US government.
Coca-Cola is going to come out with coca leaf blunt wraps.
Yeah, the green ribbon. I can dig it. Either way, we're gonna keep on rocking on this one.
Yeah, let's keep it rolling, baby.
How is your sound, Nicole? Are you good?
Better. Thank
All right,
you.
there we go.
I'm here.
All right. So up next, she's the National Community Program Director for M4MM and Power 88 Las Vegas' friendly neighborhood encyclopedia on every Wednesday morning. But somehow we got it today. So here to hit us with a little purple plant magic. Y'all know who it is. Nicole Buffong.
Oh, thank you so much, Nicole. Okay, y'all. So yesterday was the CCB meeting here in Las Vegas. The CCB is the regulatory body for the cannabis industry in Nevada. The regulators were given conditional approval for existing dispensaries to open cannabis consumption lounges. Those 3 locations that were given approval yesterday in the meeting were Thrive, Planet 13, and Washoe County's the venue at Soul Cannabis. So that's in Northern Nevada, that's in Reno. The businesses were approved for preliminary conditional licenses. Now, one of the concerns, or many of the concerns from everybody across the board, was the fact that they still cannot determine what the actual cost for them opening will be because of the strict regulations they had on air quality. So back in January, I was hearing buzz around the streets saying that, even places like a Planet 13 were considering opting out of combustion, opting out of allowing people to come to their consumption lounge and actually smoke because the regulations around air quality were so restrictive. And so with this concern, I was thrilled when I learned about Chanel Lindsay's newest invention called the Billow. And the Billow is a closed loop filtration system unit, all encompassing. You light your flower material inside of the box, so no smoke escapes into the room, even when you're lighting it. And all of the smoke is contained inside of this component. And so we presented this brilliant machine to the CCB during a workshop back in April. Last week, they contacted us and said they adopted the language that we recommended to them for the regulation. And yesterday during the meeting, after public comments and suggestions from operators and people that were in the room, the Cannabis Compliance Board actually took a recess. They decided to confer. They decided to talk amongst themselves and decide, how do we change this to make it make sense? And that's exactly what they did. And the CCB decided that they were going to change the regulations from 30 turns per hour in smoking rooms to 20 turns per hour inside of smoking rooms inside of your consumption lounge. If it's a non-smoking room, they decided to change it from 30 to 6. So that is a huge improvement. It should not require such a restrictive HVAC system. And the other part is, yes, the language for a closed loop filtration system component also was added to the regulation, and they approved that as well. So we watched history being made yesterday in Nevada. So excited, so thrilled. Chanel was here. She also made public comment. She came to the CCB with facts and data that proves that the toxicity that gets into the room, or the smoke that gets into the room, I should say, is much less than it was with using the billow. And so we're excited that this new piece of invention, this new innovative cool box, the billow, will be able to be used inside of Nevada consumption lounges. We had some social equity license operators that also showed up yesterday that were thrilled to know that this is getting them one step closer to being able to open their doors as a consumption venue inside of Las Vegas. So we're excited to see how Las Vegas can be at the forefront of innovation and technology. Right now, Chanel is also in Boston, in Massachusetts, because they're debating consumption lounges. And by Las Vegas, by Nevada adopting this language, it really does push that envelope forward. And so we're thrilled. I would love to hear what my colleagues have to say about this story. But even though it's slowly moving forward, we are making headway. And if you look out on MJ Biz Daily a little bit later this afternoon, our good friend Chris Casilla is writing an article that will have a couple of quotes from Lindsay and myself about what happened yesterday during the CCB meeting. But we are thrilled. Thank you to the CCB for being so transparent. And thank you to all of our partners here in Nevada that have kind of helped push this through.
It's a huge win for the state of Nevada, and big love and big props out to Chanel Lindsay. If y'all don't know who Chanel is, man, do your research, Google her. She's been a force to be reckoned with on the East Coast. She moved her talents over to the West Coast recently and has been doing it over here as well. Black woman doing the damn thing, from Ardent, all the great work that she did over there with Ardent and the products that she created over there, to now the Billow, like continuously giving products that the people need to move into,
that the people
present.
Need, Rico, that they want and they need. Yes. So we're excited. This is great for Nevada. It's great for Las Vegas. It's great for business, because now these businesses have a pathway to opening that really gives them an idea of how much it's going to cost. Their opening cost. And then, another challenge that they mentioned yesterday, which is legit, we don't know if these venues are going to make money. Las Vegas is where everybody comes to play. But if you're going to pay $10 for a pre-roll at the dispensary and go smoke it on the strip or smoke it in your hotel room, why would you pay $30 for the same pre-roll to go inside of this consumption lounge and smoke it? And so all of those things have to be taken into consideration. And we're watching really closely to see how that happens. But it's the entertainment capital of the world. So, if you're going to pay to dine in the dark here, I'm sure, you're going to have to come up with some pretty creative ideas to get people to come into your consumption venue and want to pay those prices to consume.
Nicole,
smoke it in the dark.
Nicole, I had a question about the financial side. You say that this will be much more helpful to businesses. How much cheaper does it make it for them to? What kind of systems can they get in place?
Exactly. Yeah, I don't know numbers exactly, Gretchen, but what I do know is the quotes that I was getting from these retail operators about the HVAC system was upwards of $500,000 for the HVAC system alone. And so obviously the Billow can be custom built out for your location at much less cost than that, at like a fraction of that cost.
Every time they set one of these up, we have a chance in real time to look at air quality and what it takes to achieve air quality, because the default position of the industry right now is we're going to over-regulate and make sure nobody ever smells anything in one of these facilities. And that's just fucking stupid, because right around the corner, someone's smoking a blunt. Okay.
And And that's the thing. They didn't allow tobacco products inside of these locations. They've already outlawed those. No tobacco, only hemp burning products. And then the other thing is which was something that I recommended. But the other thing is that we compared, the reason that they dropped these numbers was because we compared them to what the casinos are allowed, what their turns per hour are, to what the taverns turns per hour are, and what the cigar lounges turns per hour are. And these regulations that they put on cannabis were above all of those. So we said it doesn't make sense if the casino is 6 turns per hour, why does the cannabis lounge have to be way, way, way above that? So
yes, indeed.
Well, and
Thank you so much.
I work with engineers who help design greenhouses, and we have to have a nasalometer to detect odors. And they have these ridiculous dilution to threshold numbers, and we can do that for less than $500,000 in a 10,000 square foot greenhouse. So you wonder, why do they force it to be so expensive when you're going to have people sitting in there doing that? But on a big greenhouse operation, you can't smell shit. And we do it with carbon filters, and we don't have to play all these games and these expensive games.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed. Thank you so much for covering this one. Very important one. And thank you for your hard work that you're doing out there on the streets there, Nicole Buffong. Big champion of everything that y'all do out there. And good to see Nevada moving forward. But we are at the back. We're back to the top of the hour. Thank you all for joining us today for another episode of High at 9 News. You can always catch us weekdays, 9 a.m. Pacific, high noon on the East Coast. Big shout out to our super fans showing love, getting their comments projected live on the big screen. I don't know if we're doing it right now, but we still got to show you love anyways. Also to the live audience members and online supporters catching us across all media platforms. Our vetted correspondent team tuning in from all over, bringing us much needed variety of perspective and your respected opinions to the table. To our production team, Cloud Media Partners, House of Fuego, the Vortex 91 Club, all our sponsors helping us keep the lights on over here. Jaja Simone holding things down in Clubhouse. I don't even know if we're over there anymore right now, but big up to Clubhouse, big up to
we're on Twitter
Spaces today
Twitter
too.
Spaces.
Yeah,
today.
big shout out to Twitter Spaces and all the things going on there too. And to the haters, I told y'all we'll be back like we left something. And you know what? Look at God. Look at God. And always, Cannabis Sativa L, the reason the High at 9 News team shows up and reads these headlines every single day. Thank you, baby. And it is Wednesday, June 21st, 2023. The show's over. Hope you've all been blessed with enough stories to put in your pipe and smoke it at least until tomorrow. And I'm Rico Lamitte, the dopest dad on the street. Signing off for today. Gretchen Gailey, repping that Big Bang energy today. What you got for us?
Mm-hmm. I would say congratulations to Nicole Buffong. She's showing that if you show up, talk, you can get shit done. And that's what has to happen in this industry. So people need to follow her wonderful example. Good job, Nicole.
Unity.